teaching math at a distance, and one of my colleagues recommended one of her PD sessions. So I went, and both of them were fantastic. I went to the 4 to 6 and the 7 to 12, and I got a lot of ideas and resources from her, which I'm going to share with you. And it would be easily adapted to language arts, and I've adapted some of it for science already. Phil's used some of these ideas as well for language arts, and he could talk to how that works. She has a lot of videos on how to use some of her routines on YouTube, as well as all of her stuff she provides for free online. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at is we're going to look at the math routine number talks, which is something that I know Jason has spoken a lot about, as well as Stacy when they do their PD sessions. So this is the pedagogy that she uses. You're going to see here on the next slide. We're going to color code the space for each new strategy that we come up with. You'll see in a second what I mean. We're going to record solutions to students, describe strategies that we're using, and then you take a second to have the kids reflect and connect. So I'm just moving to slide 4. Up in the corner here, you're going to notice that that's where I've put the problem that they were going to be working on. And then the students claim a spot. So they'll put their name in there. And then as they come up with different strategies and strategies, because there's going to be one solution, but strategy, they just change their box. So they'll change, like, whoops, wrong one. But I can't select that for some reason. There we go. So I would change my box to red. I came up with one solution, one strategy, and then you encourage the students obviously to find another way. And once you get into this routine online, they'll be doing this automatically, and you'll see their colors changing. And then what I do is I say, okay, so now what I want everybody to do is type their answer into the Zoom chat, and we're going to create a waterfall of answers. And so I'll give them about 5 seconds to put their answers into the chat. And then I'll say, okay, everybody hit enter, and you'll see the waterfall of answers come in. So it's not as intimidating for the kids, because it's not just putting one person on the spot. So even if they came up with a wrong answer, you enter all of the solutions up here that come up. And then you can take the star and you're going to drag and drop it on a student that you're going to have start, so that they can prepare themselves to share their rationale behind their answer, what the strategy was that they used, or how they figured it out. And then you would just type that in the box here. Okay, even if you have one that came up with a wrong answer, putting the rationale in there and showing the steps that they've gone through, and then we can actually do a comparison. If it came out with the wrong, where did we go wrong? Okay, and then you celebrate those moments of when we can find our mistakes and tweak them and fix them and grow our brains. So this is one of the opening activities that we did, and that I have used in my class now, and it's working really well because it gets more kids engaged. Here's just another example of how it could be used. This was my own kind of idea. It's based off the variation theory. So if you move to slide 5, and you'll just notice the basic multiplication problem there. And then I just, same as last time, the rationale. But when we move to the next slide, 6, you'll notice that I've changed it to 16 times 25. And the rationale will change is, how did the last problem help you solve this problem? And then again, moving on. So now it's on slide 7, and it's 16 times 35. And how did the last problem help us solve? And so it helps to draw those connections in between. It gets us talking with math language and engaging with each other. And then using that, the chat box as well, also creates that feeling of safety. And the kids also get to see that, oh, I see the same thing as other people, or they have the same answers as me, and it's okay, right? And helping kids draw those connections and making them obvious. So the next one I'm going to actually have everybody do. What time is it? I'm talking really fast because I know only have 45 minutes. So there's two links here or there's one link here, sorry, for which one doesn't belong. Another routine that our Rocky View numeracy team really recommends as well. So we'll go to, and there's a link there for ones that are already made for kindergarten all the way up. This one I made myself. So you'll notice that the no sign in the middle has been cloned 100 times. I don't know how that's done. I'm still trying to figure that out. So all I'm going to do right now is get everybody to grab, you're going to analyze all the boxes that are there. And I just want you to have a quick look and just see which one doesn't belong and just drag the no sign over to which one you believe does not belong. And as you're doing that, I want in your head to think about the rule you're creating in your head that makes that one that you're choosing the odd one out.
I'm going to be like all of our kids and make it as big as possible just to
I was thinking that was you. So once you've found one solution, I'm going to challenge you to try and find another one. So is there something else that you think might not belong?
I've already put like 3 it doesn't belong in there.
Oh, is that Andrew? Nice.
I already have put 3 that don't belong in there.
Okay, so going to slide 10, so that you'll notice that that first slide is like low risk. So you can just make a choice and you're seeing it's low risk. You're seeing that other people think the same thing as you. It's really quick, anonymous, and you're just getting a pulse of what kids think and what comes up most often. On slide 10, this is where you're going to get kids to type in the rationale for their thinking. It's still anonymous. So they're going to go to the quadrant and provide a short and sweet rationale as to which one doesn't belong. So I'm going to get you to do that right now. Okay, and as you're finishing up your ideas, just go around and read some of the other people's ideas as well. And if you make a connection or you have an aha moment and you agree with somebody else, just make their words bold. And I'm going to highlight, where is this box here? Okay, so I'm highlighting this box in green. The person who put improper fraction, why did you choose that? Can you explain what an improper fraction is?
Because the numerator is bigger than the denominator.
Yeah, the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And why does that make that not fit?
Because it's more than one.
It's more than one. And so what I could do on here is on the side, I could write her name and I can, because she's using the proper terminology in the unit that we're working on, I could then make her like the captain of that and she could help out people that don't understand. This percent has more. And I'm just going to highlight this other one in purple or pinkish fuchsia color. Can you explain why you feel that one doesn't belong, the 33%? Ooh.
You're mute. Oh, Rob, I didn't hear you.
Sorry, didn't realize it was muted.
Okay.
Of those 4, when you convert it into a decimal form, it's the only one that's not repeating.
Nice. I love that you're talking about repeating decimals, and then we could have a conversation in the class about repeating decimals. And that leads me to my next one with a not so anonymous squirrel. Would you like can you explain why you feel that decimal 6 repeating doesn't belong?
If I can unmute myself.
Oh, there we go.
Because the digits that are available to us, this one is the only one that's non-prime, and all the rest of the digits that I see are prime.
Okay, and so then we could have another conversation about what a non-prime number is, and we could do a review on that. So it's, then on the next slide, on slide 11, so on slide 10, having those rich mathy kind of conversations where you're using the math terminology, you're getting the kids to really engage with each other. Then when you go to slide 10 or slide 11, sorry, you'll see that now this is the accountability slide. This is where you're going to decide to place your rationale for what you want to be held accountable for. So this is, you're going to write your name here anywhere in any of these boxes. So you're going to claim one, you're going to write your name here. Then you're going to choose which letter. So if you say A, B, or C, and then you're going to write just a quick and dirty short rationale. And you can change it. It can, if someone convinced you that their rationale was the one that you want to write down, this is the one that you're going to be graded on. So, and again, I would give kids a heads up, and I can either highlight their boxes or I can make a little arrow and drag it over to one that I want, anybody that I want to have explain their rationale, if I want to hear a little bit further on what they're talking about. Or if something has come up that wasn't on the previous slide. This is meant to be done over 3 days. So it gives them a little bit of a chance to reflect on what they were thinking. And even because oftentimes you'll know, like even in situations, you'll walk away and go, oh, I wish I would have said this. So it gives them time to reflect on what they chose, and knowing that they're coming the next day to continue with this routine, they'll often come with better answers. And I did provide just the example that I used in my class. So you can see, I'm just going to switch screens here to, where is it? Are you able to see the one from my students on the screen? I'm always confused. I think it's this one. Okay. So you'll notice that everybody chose the same thing at the beginning. And when we discussed it, it didn't look the same as everything else. And then people started branching out a little bit, and the conversation got richer, and people's answers got a little bit more detailed. And then when you move to slide 4 here, you'll notice when they became accountable, they really wanted to make sure that they had something that was a little detailed and explained their thinking a little bit more. Okay, back. Oops. Okay. Okay, so if we look at the pedagogy on slide 12 and the routine that goes along with this, so the strike it with the movable symbols, remembering that that was like the anonymous slide. So the kids are getting affirmation that their answer is right, and hey, other people think like me, and it's okay to share my reasoning. And then we went to the rationale slide, and that's your why, and it's still anonymous, and the kids can connect with each other's answers and engage with each other's answers by making them bold, and providing that affirmation for other people as well, and allowing them an opportunity to discuss their ideas and share and change their minds. And then they have their accountability slide where they have to make their decision. And which they're either you can use it as a formative assessment or a summative assessment. It's based on their ideas, and they're making it public. So they have to make that choice, and then we discuss the math with others. Okay.
Tammy,
Yes.
just throwing this out, is it okay for the kids to have like 2-3 reasons why each one doesn't like, do they have to select just one of the 4?
In the I usually try to just get them to only choose one, but in the rationale slide, I like to encourage them to really like they can make an argument for anyone that they want, but when they're making their choice, they need to be able to defend it. So they're making their choice, and then we could even have it. I've had kids argue over why their choice is the best choice. And it's actually become quite heated in some of my like regular classes, which has been fun. I find it fun. But I try to get them to just choose what they think the best one is and then be able to defend it.
All right. No, just curious.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so Open Middle was designed by Robert Kaplinski and then a gentleman named Dan Schister. So if you go to the bottom, the Open Middle, this is where I got the task from that we're going to do, or that I'm going to show you. And then this is a Google Doc of Dan Schister. He created a whole bunch of slides based on Open Middle, so you can just use them right away. And then after I spoke with Jason, some of those Open Middle tasks you'll find they're supposed to be low floor, high ceiling tasks, which everybody can access, but sometimes their low floor is still higher than some of your kids. So it's really good to give a parallel task. So you'll notice on here, I was trying to figure out how to set up a parallel task on one slide. And this obviously the low complexity, moderate complexity, that would not be on there. So you would have your students choose one of those tasks. You could do this in a breakout room with 2 students where they're working together as well, and they're having those math conversations. And it's really nice when you have this duplicated on a bunch of slides, because you can jump from room to breakout room, and you can see what they're doing and on their slides. So you can tend to know if they're actually doing anything or not. And then when they found an answer that they're happy with, they just drag their gold star on there, and they're wanting to share. On the bottom here, you'll notice I've got another task for them. So I always put it in white so it's not distracting. When you complete your chosen task, try another one, and the kids will catch on to this is there. So when they're done, they can just click on that. They can try the other one that's on the slide, or they can move to a higher complexity problem. One of the issues that I have had with this so far is when I'm offering a parallel tasks is I do have a gifted student in my class, and he will always choose the easiest task. And there's a lot of research on this with gifted students, is that they're scared to fail because they think they're smart and they always want to be seen as smart. So that is something to be aware of as well, because a lot of times those really talented kids will try to opt for that easy task. So making sure that you know who they are and you're encouraging them to try something and really pushing them to allow themselves that failure piece that they fear so much, and encourage the mistakes should be celebrated because it's creating those different synapses in your brain. So you can go through the tasks and you can see how they become more complex. And then if you move to slide 17, this is the kind of protocol for the kids earning their their breakout room phases. So starting with 2 students per group, they get 2 minutes in the room, and it's a very low stakes question, like what would you put on your pizza, or like something like that, or like can you make as many fractions as you can, like something that's low stakes. But these are the things that you should be concerned about, is that they're comfortable speaking into their microphones, they demonstrate kindness with each other. If they're not, there needs to be a signal between you and your students that they understand that they can send you a private message really fast, like a frowny face if someone's using foul language or they're doing something they're not supposed to. Just the regular safety protocols of being online that we teach at the beginning of the year, and that they're following the norms that have been created as the class. And once they've done that, then you can start moving into groups of 4. One of the things that I'm reading in one of the books is for online teaching is that you don't need to, you shouldn't require students to have their cameras on. It makes them more comfortable to share and take risks if people can't see their faces. And one of the things that Theresa shared is that oftentimes some of the teachers that she works with don't even show pictures of themselves in their videos that they make or other things, because the students watch the teacher speaking and they don't look at the content that you're sharing. So that sometimes those little videos of yourself that you put in with Screencastify and stuff can be distracting unless it adds to the learning. So if you're teaching multiplication and counting with your fingers, skip counting along your fingers, then that's very helpful as well, but it can be distracting. And then moving along to groups of 5. So this is the progression that you can use for your breakout rooms. How much time do I have? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? These are all just classified as opening activities. Mr.
I'm just
Kuntz,
looking at some of my.
Your hand's still up, so.
Oh, what on the thing? My hand's always
Yeah.
resting on my head. It's
Oh
a
no, I'll
comfort
put your hand
thing.
down. Okay. Okay. All right.
So my question I'm going to bring out is, just because I know my Airdrie kids, getting them to a 4x4x1, even the 2x2 will be a challenge.
Yep. And one of the things that I'm finding, like I am getting more accountability. One of the things that I've noticed is like immediately right here, I'll make my slides so that everybody has to sign into their Gmail. And then it'll show me how many viewers are on there. And I have the same 3 kids that don't log on. So I'm like, you're either logging on and you're participating, and that's going to be your attendance for today. Or if you don't participate, then obviously you're not here. So I use some of these slides as participation or as my attendance as well.
Good.
And then I can compare to my participants list in Zoom as well and see if kids are still participating. And when they get kicked off of Zoom, they can still participate.
Ah.
Okay, so yeah, I've had a couple, I was kicked off. I'm like, yeah, I still saw you on your slide. You could have still been doing. So, okay, so we're moving on to rich tasks. You'll see that I put the Theresa Wills, I put her email down here, or not her email, her website down here, and it has Mather Days. Mather Days are she does PD for free every single Saturday at noon Eastern time for an hour, and all of her videos are on that site. So, and she has a lot of rich tasks on there. And this is one of them, which I used, which was awesome. Okay, so Charmander is not taller than Charizard. Could you change the Pokemon so that they're proportionate to each other? And I use this as an assessment for the kids' understanding between ratio fractions and percents. And so the kids had to go onto this website down here that I provided and choose their own Pokemons. They weren't allowed to choose my Pokemons. And then I gave them an example because I have some kids that obviously wouldn't still be able to do it based on those instructions. So on slide 20, I showed Eevee, and I showed Eevee's evolved form of Vaporeon, and it's a height of 1 to 3. And so obviously it takes 3 Eevees tall to reach the height of Vaporeon, and I showed that. And then when students are done, they just drag the gold star. And then I had a few students ask if they could do another slide, which was awesome. And then I had some other students that they went on and did some other activities that I had prepared for them. And then I was just going to share. Oh, why can't I just click this? Okay. Move. Okay. So these are some of the ones, and then some of the kids decided when they were finished that they were going to design their slides. But you'll notice this is where I had to get on one of my students, because he made a slide that, like one of my gifted students, where it was a 1-to-2 ratio and a 50%. And so I had him, when he was finished, I challenged him to make another slide. And so you'll see that some of the kids went all out and went a little crazy. And then some of them decide, you know what, their entry level was a little bit lower, and that's okay. But this was a great task because they could make it as hard or as easy as they wanted. They could challenge themselves at any level. And they had so much fun doing it. Okay, back here. Okay, so looking at the problem solving oath, the only reason I have this here is because these are the things that working on these complex rich tasks are important. Like this is reminding the students of the different things that they should be doing while they're doing these risk tasks. So trying their best, making sure the patterns and the numbers make sense, using manipulatives, drawing, allowing themselves to make mistakes and persevering, asking questions, asking for help from others, looking at each other's stuff for ideas and listening to others for ideas, and always being prepared to try a different way and a solution to represent the problem. Okay, and then this is just one way of showing the activity and like what the expectations are with having their mic on, choosing a slide and putting their name on it, making sure that they use manipulatives, so either virtually or physically, that are right beside them, drawing pictures, allowing themselves to show that this is, you know what, this is a mistake that I almost made, or a misconception for the problem that someone might have had. So that's another way of extending a problem, is just saying, okay, so now that you figured this out, what is a mistake that you think would be easy to make, and having them come up with a couple of misconceptions that are easy to make, and then explaining and then challenging their partners to figure out what the mistakes are. So that was slide 24.
So in other words, Tammy, would you even encourage them to make the mistake?
Yeah, you know, once they
showed,
yeah, once they you know, they know what they're doing. Yeah, understanding that, like the common misconceptions, like one of the things I really like to do is if I have a formative assessment, I'll go through just looking for mistakes. And then I'll put a couple slides of common mistakes against like how you would work the problem out, and have the kids go through and identify what the error was, which one is the one that's correct, and what was the error in the other one. Because then those kids that make those errors, they go, oh, and it clicks for them. So does anybody else have any questions before I go on? It's like 11:45. I just have one more thing. I don't know if anybody has to go, but. No?
I think you're doing good with time.
Okay. I'm trying to go fast. Okay, so slide 25, this was one of my favorite takeaways. like how, like the roles that she uses for her and like just how it's laid out. I love this. And when I used it in my class, it worked really, really well for most kids. Like obviously there's still some kids that just don't engage. And I don't think that they were designed for online learning, right? And we all know those kids. But the timekeeper, so like you give your, like, depending on the task, obviously, the secretary is the only person who's allowed to type anything onto the screen. The mayor is in charge of encouraging all of the other students, everybody providing information. And the communicator role is was my favorite role because they get to go and snoop on everybody else's slides. And what they have to do, their role is actually very challenging because they need to interpret what they're seeing and what they're hearing from, or what they're seeing, because they're not hearing the people speak. They have to interpret what they're seeing, make sense of it in their own mind, and then be able to bring it back and explain it to everybody else that's in their room. So that's actually a really complicated job. It seems the kids love it because they get to go around and snoop. So they think it's like the fun job, but it's also the most complicated job. But everybody is also responsible for adding to the ideas. And the mayor is in charge of making sure that happens. And then this is a task that I'm using next week. So I was going to get you guys to do it, but we probably don't have time. So this is the fractions problem. I am going to change it. I did change it a little bit so that they had to actually find the percentages of each color, what it is. And then you'll notice on the next slide, on slide 27, these are the virtual manipulatives that I'm encouraging them to use, because now when they do this task, they have to show the abstract, but they also have to show and build the problem. And how would they build the problem? And they can do that any way they want. They can use any of the tools that are provided by Google, like the Google Docs. So they could use shapes and tables and things like that if they want, or they can use any of these manipulatives. And then when I make the slides, like I never have them in presentation mode, and I'll have the instructions so that they can refer to them and pull them up on and off, and then whatever tools that they can use on the other side. And then I have them put a star on their sheet if they're done, or they can put a big question mark if they have a question, want me to come into their breakout room. But I can see what they're doing in their breakout rooms as they're doing it. And I know exactly who to hit first because they're not doing anything. And I have now a communication, like a code that the kids can send me if they just send me a frowny face. If someone is being disrespectful, they can send me a smiley face if they just want me to come into the room to provide help. Those sorts of things, when the kids help make that, it's really helpful. And then on slide 32, so it gets the kids using like math language, it gets them talking, it holds them more accountable. Obviously, I don't still have everybody involved, but I do have more students that are on task now than I did before, which is great. And then these are just some key, on slide 32, some key ideas that are seen as being really important for just our practice in general when we're teaching math. Again, I have on slide 33, I have Theresa's, I can't stress it enough. She's got I'll just click on this and share. So here are all her templates. Okay, and then if you want the math routines, she's got the math routine here. And then, so number talk, she has the pedagogy there. She has the template here, and then she has a video of how she uses it. So if you're unsure how you would use it in your class, they're all right here, open middle with, and she's so generous that she's provided the templates for us. So we do not have to make all of this stuff ourselves, which is so great. And all of those opening routines are there. And then you get, where is it? It's Mather Days. Mather Days. So this is her recording of her free PDs on the weekends. And they're all rich tasks. And so the name of the rich task is that they're working on. And then she provides the templates. And then you can even watch her PD recordings to see how she delivered it in her class, which is so great. So really, really, really great resource. And I know some people in here don't teach math. Can you see how this could be useful in your language arts or social studies classes? Phil?
Here I am. Yeah, absolutely. For LA, the one that I really like on the slide shows just it's just a simple thing that I've never even thought of, is when we're looking at slides 28 to 31, where you have all the materials that they need there on each slide, where I still have kids going to different tabs and going to different places. And so I think this speeds this up a little bit too as well, which I think is great. And just something as simple as that.
Nice. And you did do something in your language arts class that you said worked the other day. What was that? Putting you on the spot again.
It was actually it was actually taking it was actually doing exactly what I just mentioned, was taking some of the ideas and things that we're looking for in key points and just having them there on each individual slide as the kids were building their ideas and understandings. And when we were using quotations and how to paraphrase quotations and how to use your square parentheses when including your own ideas, and having those quick little tidbit rules right there on the slides as they were building it was really helpful for them. And for me, it kind of sped it up a bit. And Annette, who I team partner with, sometimes you have these group of kids that just take a lot of time. You're like, what are you doing in here? Well, I couldn't remember which tab it was, and I can't find it. So like having it all in one stop shopping sort of thing is really good for some of these kids, just to kind of speed them along, because you feel as though some of these activities go on too long for what you want them to do to get them to the main task. So yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
Tammy, can I just get you to talk about the technical piece? So slide 19, your rich tasks, and then down you gave us an example of all the students filling theirs out. Is that linked to a different set of slides, or how did you get so that they're all—
how did they get to?
Like, so the other one I opened, now I've got too many things open. The other one I opened took me to all your student responses, all in one place.
This one?
So, yeah. How did you make that happen, or what's the tech piece behind that?
You know what? I just created one slide that was blank, and then I just copied and pasted like a whole whack load of them, and then they just chose one.
Okay. So it's not like it's linked to something else and then they—
no.
Like, okay, gotcha.
No, and it was so great. It was so easy that I could just slide through. Sorry, go ahead, Jill.
No, that's totally fine. You can do something like I've done something similar where I've given the kids their individual slides, and then I link their individual slides into my teacher document, and it does a live update as they work. So
nice.
It was for something in humanities, so they got their choice for it, like pick the one for your breakout room, and then I saw their live update, so I could see who was working on it in class or who was working on it at any point. And then they didn't have to see like the 60 slideshow thing I had created for the end product.
Nice. I'd like to know how to do that.
Oh, it's really simple. When you copy a slide and then you paste it in another slideshow, there's the option that pops up of link to original slide, and you just click link.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, fun fact for everyone.
Cool. There's also a way, Theresa on her YouTube channel, there's a way to lock the slides so that you can have the background and then you can just have the things that you manipulate on the front so the kids aren't messing up your slides. Nice.